So what is Project Atomic? That's actually on my one bullet on my slides, and I will tell you what is it, how to get it, and I will probably try to show you something with that. Okay, so what is Project Atomic? Project Atomic is a collection of projects around container-friendly host OS. It's not the host OS itself. The host is called Atomic Host. And what is it? It's a sort of new way how to deliver OS. It's not that new because we know that other people came with the idea of delivering OS in images, like CoreOS, for example. But this is a bit different. I will show you how it works later. It's based on the well-known distros. You can find Atomic for Fedora, for CentOS, and recently we added RHEL Atomic Host. It's based around few components. It's OS3 and specifically RPM OS3, which is used to compose the host. Then another main component is Docker, Kubernetes, and Cockpit. I will show you all of them, hopefully. Okay, so what is OS3? Have you heard anything about OS3 so far? I guess, or not? Okay, one person. Great. So OS3 was started by GNOME, and RPM OS3 was started by Colin Walters from Red Hat. And what it is, I will try to show you here. So if you are installing Fedora, CentOS, or RHEL, you probably install bunch of RPMs. You can't say what Fedora is because Fedora is a random bunch of RPMs that you picked as your OS. OS3 tries to solve this problem of I don't know what my OS actually contain by composing the OS itself on a server. How does it look like? This is the OS3 repo, and we have some objects here. It's pretty similar to Git, and I think it works similarly. You have some refs, you have some remotes, and you are pulling these objects into your system. And as a client, you get update on the server. You pull it, then you can atomically update it. That's why it's called Atomic. And the atomic update means that if something breaks, you can roll back to the previous installation that worked perfectly for you. And the difference between Atomic and CoreOS, for example, one of them is that in CoreOS you by default have two images, and you can switch between them if something breaks for you. In Atomic, you can have as many of them as you want. etc and var etc is freeway merged. So if something updates in etc in the new version, you will get your changes over that newer version, and everything is read-only apart from etc and var, so that if you cannot install anything there. That's the main difference from the traditional OS. Here you can see the output of OS3 of our RPM OS3 status, and you can see that I have two references here, and I will switch to the older one at the moment of taking the screenshot. Another part of Atomic Host is Docker. As you are on Docker Meetup, I guess you were on the last one and you know about Docker, what it is and how to use that. Then there is Kubernetes. If you don't know what it is, it's orchestration around Docker. You can use it on CoreOS, you can use it on Atomic, you can use it on RHEL, CentOS, Fedora, it doesn't matter. It's in Go, so you just install some single binary statically linked, and you can run and you can connect multiple machines. One is master, then you have a bunch of minions, and you just randomly spin up containers on them, and Kubernetes take care of those containers that they are running. And if something fails and one container dies, and it knows that you want 10 containers, then you will get new container on some other minion. That's very simply said. And the last component that I want to mention is Cockpit, which is a web UI for the server. It's by default in Atomic. I will show you how it works. And you can do a lot of fancy stuff with that. Basically manage whole system, which is nice because if you are new to Linux and new to these image-based systems, you can easily click through the cockpit and see that in nice UI. Okay, so any questions so far? Great. How to get it? How to get Atomic? You can go to projectatomic.io/download, or you can go directly if you want CentOS Atomic host. You can go directly here, and you can just download QCOW or Vagrant Image or Amazon AMI. Okay. As I said, we have Fedora, CentOS, and RHEL Atomic host. And now the fun part, the first part of demo, how to get into the Atomic. So I have downloaded the QCOW image that you saw on that page, and I will try to import it into my Word Manager, and I will hope that it will not fail because I've tried it before and it worked. So now the important thing here is you have to create a Cloud Config ISO. Cloud Config ISO will let you then later easily connect into into that virtual machine. So you will just create a bunch of files and call gen ISO. I have it already pre-generated. So I will just mount it as a CD-ROM. Okay, CD-ROM, and I will just find ISO here, and that should be it. And I will start the installation, and you can see it's pretty quick. It will just unpack kernel and initRD, start the machine, and then it should set up the machine with the Cloud Config, which just happened. And I should be able, 186, if I find a free terminal, SSH. Okay, I will try to put it here, sorry. Okay, so SSH, right, sorry. Okay, that's an interesting bug here. I guess can you see it? Okay. Oh, it's there, right? So there is a user CentOS, and it was 168.122.186, I think. So, okay, sorry. I just need to remove some older stuff. And it still doesn't work. And this is the nice part about demos, right? So once again, yes. So now the real try to SSH in, and as you can see, maybe I'm in, and I can show you that this is actually really Atomic host. CentOS Atomic host, and you can see it's it's CentOS Linux, and yeah, we don't have anything like saying it's Atomic here. So, but we can try to, for example, see how that works with OS3. So here is a config for OS3, where you can see the URL to repo and what branch. So what objects you want to pull in. I will try to upgrade so that you can see the switch between two branches, but I'm not sure if that will work. Right, sorry. Atomic upgrade again, but the connection was pretty slow when I tried before. So as you can't see, probably most of you, it's pulling something down there, and if I come back later, you should see that we have updated machine. Okay, so from this slide, what I did, I mounted the ISO, I started VM, my VM was ready, and I can also check the cockpit. So if I go to 186 and it's port 9090 for cockpit, and it is certificate is obviously broken, and I can log in. I can't log in because I don't have a password for any user, so I have some pre-prepared machine that has a password for root. Okay. Right. So this is cockpit. You can click on the machine and you can see the memory usage, the CPU usage, network traffic. You see that it's downloading something. I don't know why. You can check the storage, what is happening, what mount points you have, and you can also, if I get back, you can also see containers here. And Docker isn't started, so I will start it from my UI, and process exited and failed, which is again. Joe Brookmeyer from Red Hat said that watching live demos is like NASCAR. You always wait for the crash. So, yeah. So I will try to system control start Docker, and this seems to be fast. Okay, and this is for containers. I don't have any container running, but I have a lot of images here, and I can run one for you, and I can set some fancy stuff here, CPU priority, and I want terminal, so I will run it, and I see my image here, or my container here, sorry, and I can now even try to write something to the terminal, so, for example, ls. So this is cockpit. I think it's pretty nice. Let me just check if the Atomic got upgraded. Okay. Don't tell this to Dan Walsh. Right, that's better. Okay, so I will continue and we will see if it gets upgraded later. Okay, so I have a demo with Docker finally. And let's run a container. So you have just seen that I've run the container from cockpit. I'm not going to do that again. And running two containers probably doesn't make sense because you know how to run containers, right? So the fancy thing is we should run more VMs, and we would like to get them organized by Kubernetes and set up and then run something on that. I will not show you how to run some services on in the Kubernetes because my example broke. I wanted to show you something really fancy, but it's just so cool that it doesn't work most of the time. Okay, so I will try. So I have created a small script that will set up my, you cannot see it again, right? which will set up my Kubernetes. I have one master and 2 minions. You can see them already running here. There's the CentOS, CentOS 2, CentOS 3. And if I run setup SH, it should connect to all those virtual machines, put there some files, some configuration files for Kubernetes, and add the nodes. So here you can see that the nodes were added. And if I now go here and try to kube control get nodes, I have nodes added. So if I try to run something like, for example, I don't know, for example this, it should do something, I don't know if, okay, again, it created a replication controller. So if I do kube control get RC, I can see that there is a replication controller saying that I want 3 replicas of this. So if I check the pod, you can see here how Kubernetes work. It basically randomly, I think there is no real scheduler right now, but randomly selected CentOS minion for 2 pods, for 2 containers, and CentOS minion 2 for last container. So if I do docker ps, there are some leftovers probably. No, here's Kubernetes, sorry. Kubernetes example guestbook, that's 1 container, 2nd container, and another docker ps will show us the last one on the 3rd CentOS. So this is how Kubernetes work, and it was pretty simple to set it up. Not for me because I haven't done that before, but you have my script, so if you have free CentOS virtual machine, it should work. Okay, so let's see if the atomic host upgraded, and it did not. It says that there is some corrupted file object, so it's obviously broken also, but I think it's the network connection is the problem. Okay, so let's go back to slides. Yeah, that was really short demo. And I want to tell you about these few things, basically. Oh My Vagrant is a really nice project by James Shubin. He also works for Red Hat. And if you know Vagrant, it's a nice project that lets you manage your virtual machines and do some stuff with them, like connect to them, sync some data, and I don't know, set them up with Puppet and Ansible and all that crazy stuff. So James Shubin didn't like that you have to always write a Vagrant file, which can get quite complicated. He has one here that serves for the Oh My Vagrant, and it's pretty long, but it does a lot of stuff. So he created Oh My Vagrant, which does the nice thing that you take a YAML, you write a simple YAML. So for example, this should work for Kubernetes, to set up the Kubernetes cluster and start some Kubernetes services there. And this should do all the work. Sadly, I was not able to run Vagrant on my machine, but that's probably a problem with my machine because everybody else can do that. So I would like to encourage you to look at Oh My Vagrant. He has a lot of articles on his blog. So if you put Oh My Vagrant into Google, you will find it. And yeah, sorry, I can't show you. If you are interested in Atomic, basically all the conversations about where to go and how to change Atomic and what is the strategy for Project Atomic is happening on Atomic Devil mailing list. So I will definitely encourage you to join that. In this link, I hope that Jakub will share with you a link to my presentation later. So in this link, you will find everything I have, which is basically just a bunch of configuration files and one script for this presentation. You can check Atomic CLI, which is very interesting. I will show you soon because it finally passed the upgrade. So you can see that the upgrade was quite big. A lot of packages changed, and some got removed and some got added. So if I do Atomic status, I can see that I am on the branch that is from 6th of March, and I have one also downloaded right now, which is from the April. So I will just reboot. Wait a minute, or hopefully not a minute, just a few seconds, and I should get back to the machine, and you will see that changed, and that's how it works. You just roll back. So if I do now Atomic host status, yeah, you can see that I'm now running the April branch. And if I call Atomic host rollback, sudo, sorry, it will tell me that it is moving to that branch, and this will happen and change. And once I reboot, I will get to the older branch. Now I did rollback again, so I'm back on that updated branch. So I wanted to show you one thing, and that's Atomic tool. It lets you work with host, which is basically upgrade, see the status, and all that stuff. But we also added an install, stop, run, uninstall, and update, which works with Docker labels. It was recently merged to Docker, and if I will start a Docker and show you, okay. That's the new, sorry. So, once again, Docker images, and I have quite a lot of them here, but I am interested in the one that I cannot find. Yeah, because sorry. Okay, so what we did is that if you do Docker inspect, you can find labels here. And we have install, run, uninstall, and other labels. And it basically says to the Atomic tool what to do with the container, how the developer of the container meant the container to be run. So here, Atomic tool knows some directories, which is data there and conf there. So you can say where to store the data and where you have the configuration. And you also can do something that Dan Walsh calls super privileged containers, so that you can manage your host with the containers. When you call Atomic install, it will actually, the tool will call this Docker run command, and something will happen. And if you call Atomic run, it will again call this command, and again something that the Docker maintainer or the Docker image maintainer thought will be interesting for you, that should happen. So for example, I have here an and rel atomic machine, which has a downloaded image, rel tools, which is an image that contains a lot of tools. Because in atomic, you, for example, don't have Git. You don't need it for mostly for your cloud computing. So you need something like rel tools that will contain Git. So if I want to use it, I can do atomic run rel tools and call Git from that. And the run label will have /host volume mount, which will actually go to the / on the host. So with this command, I can git pull on the atomic host to my directory, which is home CentOS, no, cloud user demo. Right, so if you are missing any tools in atomic, you can try to pull rel 7 rel tools, and I guess we will have the same thing for CentOS and Fedora soon. And you can use it from that image and manage the host. So that's another thing. And the last thing is Nulecule, which is really new thing, which we started a month ago or so. And that should be a way how to manage and deploy multi-container applications. Because if you have Kubernetes, if you have seen Kubernetes configurations, that's a bunch of JSON files, and you need to have 20 JSON files and then 20 pages of README that will tell you in which order you should deploy these files and what to do, which commands to call. And that's the similar thing for OpenShift. V3, if you want to run some application in OpenShift, you will have one big JSON file, and for other stuff. So with this thing, if you want to read it, it's a specification how to run and how to create applications that are multi-container, that are dependent between itself. So you create one application that anybody else can reuse, and then you can deploy to OpenShift Kubernetes and all this stuff. It's really new and broken and work in progress and all its fancy words. Okay, yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions. Sure.
Thank you. What would you choose as the two most important benefits of Atomic instead using vanilla CentOS with Docker?
Okay, so definitely the benefit is that if you want to develop something, you will probably want to use CentOS because you can install RPMs and dependencies and gems and Python packages and all that stuff. But if you want to run, just run something that is already developed in a container and you know that you will use Docker container, then you probably want to run it in cloud or on some in virtual machine. And that's why you want to use something that's small and fast and is updated atomically. So so that you know that you can update and your update will not break your installation. That's probably the most beneficial part. So if you update and it breaks, it will go back to the previous reference, previous image. And also it's smaller than standard installation of CentOS, which is another benefit if you want to run 20 virtual machines on one machine and want to run containers in them. It's probably important to have the to have the machines small. And yeah, Docker is pre-installed, which is nice. And there is more stuff coming, like with the Kubernetes. The guys are working on something called Atomic Platform, which nobody knows what it is at the moment, but it will be something that lets you easily, using Flannel from CoreOS, lets you set up the cluster easily and cluster of Kubernetes machines so that you can deploy containers into that cluster simply. And you don't have to do that manually with the CentOS not atomic host. So that's maybe why. Okay.
Can you compare Atomic with Ubuntu Snappy?
I cannot because I haven't seen Ubuntu Snappy yet. I have read about it, but I have no idea what that actually is and how that works. I have just read 2 articles. I cannot tell anything interesting.
What is a good tip to integrate Atomic in a common development process? Imagine you are using Maven or some other build tool and you get some artifacts, and is it good to hook this Atomic deployment after the build or after some continuous integration, or when it's the right point to use?
Well, Atomic host is aimed at containers. So if you are building something into containers, then you want to use Atomic host. If you are using Docker containers, you want to use Atomic host. It doesn't make sense to try to run some Python scripts on Atomic host. You can do that, definitely, but I would definitely recommend to use that only for containers. So if you have some containers, you don't want to deploy them before you test them. That brings me to the answer that if you build something, then you put it in container, then you CI over that, and then you deploy it to Atomic host. And we have also the Vagrant images, as you saw on the download page. So if you use Vagrant, you can use this, the Atomic host, and you can probably create a Vagrant file that will automatically test your images on the Atomic host in Vagrant or something like that, if you do that locally. Shouldn't be that hard.